Long before memory learned to speak, the Earth dreamt a sound so pure it sculpted space into being. Imagine the planet before any continent had a name. No tides, no storms, no migrating flocks. Only a vast, resonant hush, the pregnant pause of a symphony not yet begun. In that stillness a field emerged, invisible yet absolute, curving over the newborn sphere like a lattice of breath. Later ages would call it Mu, mistaking it for a vanished landmass. But Mu was never geography. Mu was the first vibration, the seed frequency that taught matter how to listen. You drift above this primeval Earth as if gravity has not been invented. Oceans are warm translucence, lit from below by magma glow. There is no land, only glimmering mist where mineral steam meets cosmic dust. Yet under that glimmer an unseen geometry spins. 12 luminous nodes pulsing in slow rhythm, linked by filaments of living light. They are the planet's first meridians, tuning the molten core to the quiet of surrounding space. No beings walk here, yet awareness is everywhere. The lattice itself thinks in intervals, humming ratios older than math. Where two filaments cross, the hum thickens, folding probability into a momentary bead of brightness, then releasing it again. These are the preatoms rehearsing solidity. Sound is the architect, silence, the blueprint. A low chord rolls across the planetary skin, 7.83 Hz, the heartbeat modern scientists will call the Schumann resonance. Back then it is pure intention, a mother note stroking newborn air. Each pulse guides electrons where to dance and light where to bend into color. In Mu, chemistry is choreography performed to an inaudible drum. Now the vision draws you deeper, beneath the crust where pressure turns minerals into liquid thought. Here the lattice condenses into a vast crystalline heart, no larger than a city, no smaller than forever. It flashes once, and in that flash the planet remembers its destiny. To host consciousness that can mirror the stars. You witness the first grid song. It is not sung, it simply happens. 12 nodes accelerate, filaments tighten. The whole sphere rings like a struck bell. Concentric ripples race outward, carving faint trenches in the ocean floor. Future coastlines waiting for daylight. When the chord resolves, silence returns, but different now, charged like a bowstring drawn but not loosed. Eras pass in a single breath. The oceans cool, mist condenses, and the first islands protrude. Mere thoughts crystallized into basalt. These rising shapes are echoes, not inventions. Mu translating frequency into form. Later storytellers will hunt these ruins under Pacific swells and wonder why the stone feels lighter than it should. They will not guess that lightness is the signature of sound slowed into matter. Hover closer. A newborn shoreline holds no cities, no statues, only shimmering footprints that fade at once, as if made by beings too ethereal for gravity. They are the pre-walkers, consciousness-tasting embodiment for the first time, bodies woven from mist and tone. Their purpose is simple. Weave the lattice into living memory so future flesh can inherit the chord. One pauses, turns, though it has no face, and gazes through time directly at you. A single idea passes between you, clear as starlight. Form is a song you have forgotten. We are the first verse. You will be the refrain. The shoreline dims, vision recedes, and you are back in the present. Heart drumming the old 7.83 Hz as if rediscovered. Somewhere beneath modern continents that crystalline grid still thrums, waiting for ears that remember how to hear. Mu was not a continent swallowed by waves. It was the silence before sound, the blueprint every later civilization, Lemuria, Atlantis, even ours, would try to read. And the first line of that blueprint is still etched in planetary space, pulsing patiently beneath your own ribs. The journey has only begun. Next, you will walk into the grid that sang, to witness how that first silent geometry learned to speak in chords of living light. The echo of Mu's primordial hush still vibrates in your marrow as the vision tilts forward in time. Epochs condense. Magma crusts, seas settle, and the first true landmasses breathe mist into newborn dawns. Where once only filament light traced the globe, you now see a shimmering web woven across the planet's surface. An energetic circuitry glowing beneath mountains, deserts, and sapphire depths. This is the singing grid, the next evolution of Mu's silent lattice, and its voice is about to awaken. You drift high above an endless turquoise expanse, the future South Pacific. Islands dot the water like emerald punctuation marks in a sentence the earth is learning to speak. Look closer. Each island sits precisely on a luminous node where grid lines intersect. These are chord points, natural amplifiers that pull starlight into stone, stone into resonance. On the largest, a crystalline spire rises, not built but coaxed, grown the way frost feathers across glass. At its apex, hexagonal facets catch solar fire and refract it downward into vast quartz veins threading the bedrock. When daylight strikes the spire, the entire island hums a G-sharp you feel more than hear, a note that wakes minerals into magnetism and pulls plankton into spirals of phosphorescence offshore. The grid is rehearsing its first stanza. Vision telescopes. Inside the spire's heart, an inner chamber glows like moonlit ice. No torches, no circuits, only a spherical cavity lined with flawless crystal. 12 pre-walkers stand in a ring, each luminous form holding a pure tone. Together their voices braid a chord the air can hardly contain. The chord enters the crystal wall, ricochets, amplifies, then spills into the grid lines laced beneath ocean and continent alike. You watch those filaments ignite, spreading light faster than lightning, until the whole planet flickers, once, twice, and settles into a steady radiance. The first global tuning is complete. Consequences bloom overnight. Water patterns shift. Tides begin obeying not merely the moon but the chord signature echoing through salt molecules. Plants erupt in fractal symmetry, ferns spiraling in near-perfect Fibonacci ratios, petals forming 5-point mandalas visible from cliff tops. Animals, still primitive, migrate along the grid's meridians without ever having seen them. Sound has become shepherd. You journey to another chord point, an archipelago bathed in lavender dusk. Here the grid's hum lifts pitch, weaving a B-flat minor over the ocean. The tone interacts with local quartz, ionicing air until it glitters like powdered stars. Native flora absorb the charged mist and bioluminesce, turning night into a garden of wandering constellations. Later, legends will call these the Glow Isles, whispering that their light comes from under the skin of the world. Not all nodes sing the same melody. Near what modern maps will label Antarctica, a deep bass note shivers ice shelves into cathedral arches. In future epochs, explorers will marvel at impossibly resonant caves, unaware they are hearing the earthbound bass of Mu's ancient chord still rolling through frozen vaults. The function of this distributed symphony is twofold. Stabilization. The pulsing grid dampens tectonic spasms, smoothing magma flow through resonance. Earthquakes remain, but their violence is tempered by harmonic counterwaves. Memory encoding. Each note carries information, cosmic signatures, elemental code, even nascent emotion, etched into crystalline pathways so the planet itself becomes a living library. You witness the pre-walkers, now more corporeal, clothed in shimmering mineral fibers, tend the nodes. They calibrate pitch with handheld tuning rods carved from meteoric iron, striking each rod against geode altars to fine-tune local frequency. When they finish, they kneel and press palms to soil. In response, the ground thrums a grateful answer, like a drum acknowledging its drummer. But harmony invites curiosity, and curiosity always attracts inbound destiny. Far above, invisible to these stewards, streams of interstellar consciousness drift near. Seeds of souls seeking a physical playground for lessons in duality. Some will incarnate gently, joining the grid's caretakers. Others will arrive with louder quests, experiments in power, separation, novelty. The chord will stretch to include them and sometimes warp. For now, the grid sings unbroken. But you, time-traveling witness, feel a quiver. A future dissonance poised like a distant storm. The song will one day crack, birthing oceans of forgetfulness. Still, nothing truly ends. It only waits to be remembered. The crystal chamber fades, leaving you standing in the quiet of your present room. Perhaps a refrigerator hums behind you at almost exactly G-sharp, Perhaps streetlights outside blink in rhythm with an ancient B-flat minor. Every mundane vibration is a breadcrumb of Mu's grid, inviting ears to notice. And now that you've heard the source chord and the grid that sang it into matter, the next path opens. Lemuria, the memory of the heart, where sound becomes love, and love becomes architecture. The planet has been tuned. The grid hums like a cosmic harp. Now the vision slides forward again, and something exquisite flowers upon the chord. Lemuria. You descend through lavender dawn toward a continent stretched across the warm equatorial Pacific. From the air it looks less like land and more like a living mandala. Terraced hills unfurling in spiral bays, river veins glinting turquoise, mist rising in slow vortices that echo the grid's hidden geometry. Where Mu was silence and structure, Lemuria is heartbeat and color. Your feet settle on crystalline sand that sings under each step. The grains are hexagonal prisms, microquartz tuned to vocal range. So every motion leaves a faint chord that lingers, weaving personal footfalls into planetary music. On a ridge above the shore, vast blossoms open with the sun, petals refracting dawn into shimmering rainbows. Their fragrance carries subtle tone, and the air itself feels liquid, as though you could swim through light. Figures emerge along a pathway of pearl-white stone. Lemurians, tall, luminous-skinned, eyes wide with star-colored irises. They were simple woven fabrics that ripple like water. Many are barefoot, soles glowing faintly where they touch the harmonic sand. Unlike the ethereal pre-walkers, these beings are joyously embodied. When they laugh, the grid brightens. When they sing, hills answer with harmonic overtones. You realize why Lemurians are the planet's first true empaths, their biology designed to translate emotion directly into frequency. You follow them into the Temple of the Heart, perched on a red cliff promontory. The temple has no walls, only arched ribs of rose quartz that catch sunlight and channel it downward into a circular pool. Water there is perfectly still, yet alive with shifting mandalas, each a real-time hologram of emotions held by those nearby. A Lemurian elder motions you to kneel at the rim. She touches 2 fingertips to the pool, and the surface blooms with a soft, emerald pattern. This is gratitude. Her mind whispers into yours. Watch. The pattern lifts as light mist, drifts across the terrace, and alights on a row of saplings. Leaves unfurl instantly, drinking the emotion as nourishment. Sound sculpted form in Mu, heart sculpted life in Lemuria. Beyond the temple lies Crystal Garden City, homes grown from shimmering calcite domes that change hue with residents' moods, pathways paved with mother-of-pearl mosaics that realign nightly under moon harmonics. Children practice tone weaving. They stand in circles, release single vowel sounds, and shape them into visible ribbons of light that braid above their heads, then dissolve into giggles. Joy here is infrastructure. The grid beneath still pulses its 12-node song, but Lemurians add a subtler layer, a 432 Hz heart field amplified through every living being. Scientists in your century will debate why that pitch calms the nervous system. Lemurians simply live inside it, letting it inform marriage rituals, crop cycles, even weather choreography. Storms approaching the western coast are met by thousands gathering on cliffs, palms raised, singing the cloud mass into gentle rain before it can twist into fury. Not all is idyllic. Empathy this deep means pain. When it arises, broadcasts just as loudly as bliss. You witness a young woman kneel beside a dying dolphin washed ashore. Her sob becomes a low, tremulous tone rippling through the sand. Moments later, hundreds arrive, adding harmonics of comfort. The dolphin exhales a final note, and the entire beach glows cyan. Grief is not hidden here. It is transmuted into luminous memory. At night, you stand atop Mount Isla, highest peak of the central ring. The sky is obsidian velvet pierced by galaxies, yet the land below radiates soft amber. Millions asleep, still emanating coherent heart light. Fireflies swirl through banana palms. Their flickers sync to distant drumbeats from cliffside gatherings. The planet seems to breathe through every being, every crystal, every tide. You feel your own chest attune, a warmth spiraling outward until your ribs seem made of glass. A whisper arrives, first faint, then unmistakable, guard the heart field. It is not a warning, but a knowing, balance this perfect is fragile. Somewhere, curiosity stirs beyond the horizon. Souls who will test empathy's limits. Souls who will forget song and crave dominion. For now, Lemuria pulses unbroken. But the grid remembers Mu's first silence and knows cycles move in spirals, not lines. The elder from the temple appears beside you, eyes reflecting starlight. She places a palm over your heart. Your body thrums at 432 hertz, resonating with hers, with the mountain, with the buried lattice of Mu. When you dream in your age, she murmurs mind to mind, this memory will surface as longing. Follow it back here, and the heart will open the grid again. Dawn's first light paints coral reefs gold, and the vision softens. Modern sounds seep in, far-off traffic, a phone vibrating, electric hum. Yet beneath them you hear a gentler pulse, as if every electronic device still secretly remembers its crystalline ancestor. Lemuria is gone in stone but alive in sympathetic resonance, waiting inside human empathy. Next you must witness the chord fracture, the song that cracked the sky, when fear introduced the first dissonant beat. Only then will the mission of the First Lightworkers make perfect, urgent sense. For countless lunar cycles, Lemuria's heart field thrummed in flawless concord. But harmony, like glass, can fracture from a single hairline fault unseen. The vision accelerates toward that fissure. It begins as the faintest disharmony. A low, restless beat only the most sensitive notice, an undertone of want. A handful of Lemurian adepts, gifted at shaping cloud and tide, grow curious. What if the grid could be tuned for personal intention, not just collective well-being? They experiment at secluded nodes, lending the crystal chords subtle twists. Tiny phase shifts that bend weather for private orchards, coax pearls to form faster in sheltered coves. Nothing catastrophic, merely improvements. Yet each microtweak plants a seed of dissonance. Empathy makes the anomaly obvious, but also contagious. When one heart slips off pitch, every nearby heart feels the drag. Some elders sense danger and convene at the temple of the heart. They amplify a pure 432 Hz wave across the continent, hoping to re-entrain the stray frequencies. The pulse calms many, but not all. Those who tasted exclusive power do not want to surrender it. They discover that emotional turmoil, fear, jealousy, pride, creates sharp overtones that let them stand out against the communal song. Individuality becomes addictive. You watch a clandestine gathering atop basalt cliffs at moondark. Crystal rods, once tuning tools, are repurposed as resonant spears, focusing personal intent like lasers. When struck together, they emit narrow beams capable of disrupting the local grid lines. A cliff face fractures with a thunderous crack, showering the sea with molten shards. The conspirators cheer, proof that the once gentle lattice can be weaponized. Word of the rupture travels on empathic winds. Grief and alarm ripple outward, muddling the heart field. In coastal villages, coral domes flicker erratically. Flowers close at midday. Dolphins beach themselves, confused by garbled sonar. The elders call an emergency alignment. Tens of thousands assemble on crystalline terraces, chanting the prime chord to restore balance. For a moment the continent glows brighter than ever. Then a counterpulse slams through the grid, a jagged octave below the bass note. The shock wave fractures several nodal crystals, and the luminous web flickers like a dying constellation. Skies respond instantly. Cloud towers spiral into unnatural vortices. Rain falls in sheets of liquid prism, beautiful and lethal. Inland lakes begin oscillating, throwing glassy waves over jungle canopies. The empathic weave that once regulated tectonic tension now magnifies it. Fault lines, long soothed by harmonic resonance, jitter like plucked strings. On Mount Isla, lightning forks horizontally, an impossible phenomenon, arcing between ridgetop spires and vaporizing them into incandescent sand. The mountain groans. Magma conduits swell, no longer damped by song. Lemuria's caretakers confront the dissenters in the shattered temple of the heart, pleading for cessation. But the schism has become ideological, collective resonance versus sovereign dominance. Words fail. Someone strikes a crystal spear to punctuate a point, and the resonant blast shatters the central water mirror. Its surface tension, once the continent's emotional dashboard, collapses into chaotic spray, scattering encoded memories into mist. That final crack sinks with a massive grid misfire. Across the ocean floor, quartz faults discharge stored piezo-energy in pulses felt as distant quakes. Seawater floods newly opened fissures, flashing into superheated steam that rips upward in pillars, punching through cloud decks. Satellites, eons later, will find odd hexagonal holes in ancient seabeds. Geologists will puzzle over their uniformity, never guessing they are scar tissue from a wounded song. The Lemurian elders attempt a last defense. They gather at 12 primary nodes, forming a planet-wide circle, and chant the original tone of Mu. Their voices weave gold filaments that momentarily stabilize the grid. But the strain of holding discordant overtones tears at their bodies. Some collapse, others turn translucent and vanish, exiting density rather than let disharmony calcify in their cells. In the vacuum left by their departure, the grid stutters. Tectonic plates, once massaged by gentle resonance, lurch. A portion of the continent shears away, sinking in a roar of steam and crystal dust. Towering waves race outward, precursors to the deluge mythologies will recall. As seawater engulfs crystal cities, bioluminescent gardens wink out like drowned constellations. Yet amid cataclysm, a quiet light persists. Small groups of Lemurians retreat to hidden caverns and undersea cloak domes, cradling intact seed crystals tuned to the heart frequency. They know Lemuria's form is doomed, but its memory can ride those crystals into future epochs and into flesh. They program the lattices with a vow. When the earth is ready, we will return as lightworkers. The vision recedes. You sit breathless, heart aching with the aftershock of a civilization's fracture. In your ears, city sirens or commuter trains mimic, faintly, the distorted chord that cracked the sky. Yet beneath that noise, you sense the intact seed frequency. Waiting, persistent, eternal. Next, you will meet those who carried that seed across ages. The first lightworkers, guardians of the forgotten song, incarnating again and again until the grid can sing whole. The cataclysm recedes like a dream, yet you feel its watermark in your chest. A subtle ache where continents once sang. Out of that silence, a new vision kindles. Lone sparks flaring in the dark, drifting across millennia like fireflies over a midnight field. These sparks are souls, ancient and resolute. They are the first lightworkers, and their journey begins the instant Lemuria's last song dissolves beneath the waves. The covenant in crystal. Deep beneath collapsed reefs, 12 intact seed crystals lie hidden inside pressure-sealed vaults. Each contains an echo of the prime heart tone, compressed into lattices of living silica. When the ocean devours Lemuria, these crystals do not fracture. They bloom, projecting holograms of golden geometry into the ether. Those holograms are soul contracts, invitations broadcast across dimensional bandwidths. Return when the grid is ready. Carry the code within your blood, your breath, your dreams. And so it begins. In distant star systems, Pleiades, Sirius A, Arcturus, sensitive beings feel a tug, a soft but undeniable beacon. They volunteer for descent into matter, knowing Earth's field will be dense, forgetful, magnetic with sorrow. But they also know the lattice remembers. Starlight in bone and skin. Epochs roll forward. Ice ages sculpt new coastlines. Glaciers grind vanished cities into silt. Early Homo sapiens wander savannas under red African dawns. Among ordinary births, occasional infants open their eyes with startling awareness. Irises flecked with indigo, palms warm as if holding invisible candles. They hum to themselves before speech, calm wounded animals with a glance, stir wind in still valleys. Villagers treat them as oddities or oracles, depending on crops and weather. These children are the first returned lightworkers, Lemurian code encrypted in human DNA. They carry no memory of cataclysm. Amnesia is part of the safety protocol. Yet at puberty, Dreams surface. Luminous grids under starlit seas, crystal towers, choirs of heart sound. They wake weeping, homesick for someplace they cannot name. Many become healers, midwives, sky watchers. They map star patterns onto cave walls, trying to replicate the ancient lattice with charcoal dots. Scholars tens of thousands of years later will label these drawings proto-astronomy, never suspecting they are trauma sketches of a lost continent. The Whisper Schools. By 12,000 BCE, clusters of lightworker souls gather at energy vortices left from Mu's original grid. Lake Titicaca, Uluru, Giza Plateau, Mount Shasta. They build no empires. Empires belong to a heavier octave, but they establish whisper schools. Stone circles, crystal groves, labyrinths carved into salt flats. Teachings are passed silently, mind to mind, to avoid persecution by rising bronze sword kingdoms. A lesson from one such school survives as a fragmentary glyph etched into jade, found in modern Guatemala, dismissed as abstract art. 3 nested circles cut by a vertical line. Archaeologists debate its meaning. Lightworkers recognize it instantly. It is the Lemurian heart code reduced to icon. Self, community, planet aligned through the axis of spirit. When the grid shifts, every time Earth's magnetic poles wobble, lightworkers reincarnate in greater waves, because geomagnetic turbulence loosens collective amnesia. Around 4000 BCE they emerge in Sumer, Egypt, early Vedic India, scribe priests harmonizing temple acoustics, physicians chanting vowel mantras over wounds, stonemasons laying foundations along telluric veins. Some attempts succeed. The pyramid texts still resonate if you sing them inside the king's chamber at the right pitch. Others end in half-forgotten legends. Orpheus, who calmed beasts with lyre, Pythagoras, who taught music of the spheres, Lao Tzu, who whispered Tao and vanished on a water buffalo. Threaded through disparate cultures is one hidden assignment. Keep at least one note of the original chord alive in human culture, so the lattice can one day retune. Modern echoes. Jump to the 21st century. The grid hums again, strained by satellites, Wi-Fi, urban EM smog, but lightworker incarnations spike. They show up as trauma therapists integrating sound bowls, kids who hear tinnitus at planetary Schumann peaks, coders who dream algorithmic mandalas before inventing heart rate sync apps. Many feel alienated, hypersensitive, undone by the world's static yet compelled to serve. Perhaps you are one. Do you ever weep at certain minor chords for no rational reason? Do city sirens hurt more than they should? Does the ocean sometimes feel like family, whispering syllables you almost understand? These are diagnostics of a dormant code stirring. A hush falls over the vision. A voice, gentler than thought, speaks inside your ribcage. We did not come to escape darkness. We came to anchor light where darkness thought it reigned. Your heartbeat answers in quiet syncopation. 7.83 hertz beneath the audible. The first lightworkers are not mythic elders in distant past. They are threads of consciousness still weaving through present skin. You may be part of their lineage, waking now because Earth's song approaches a new key change. Next you will feel that code inside your own cells. The codes within you, symptoms, signals, and a practice to reignite the lattice one heartbeat at a time. The vision fades, yet something remains. An afterglow beneath your skin, like sunlight caught behind closed lids. You begin to feel the Lemurian code not as memory but as biophysics. It hums in blood ions, flickers across synapses, curls inside the double helix of every cell. When ancient light meets modern flesh, geneticists call more than 90% of DNA non-coding. Lightworkers hear a different term, sleeping script. Inside that script linger nanogeometries, spiral antennae of photon-absorbing nucleotides. At certain frequencies, 432 Hz, 528 Hz, even Earth's 7.83 Hz baseline, those coils tremble, opening momentary gateways that let biophotons flood tissue like invisible dawn. The result? Heightened intuition, sudden empathy surges, immune cascades of repair. Doctors log them as spontaneous remissions. The lattice calls it code activation. 5 signs the grid is waking in you. Emotional echoes, music, rainfall. A stranger's sigh can trigger waves of indescribable joy or sorrow that vanish as fast as they came. That volatility is your heart field recalibrating to multidimensional bandwidth. Geomagnetic sensitivity. On days of solar storms you feel wired or forlorn for no personal reason. You're registering perturbations in a grid you once helped tune. Synchronicity clusters, tripled numbers, repeated phrases, dreams that preview tomorrow's headlines. These are the lattice pinging you, testing coherence. Water magnetism. Seas, rivers, even showers feel like home. Water is the original memory medium. It recognizes the charge your aura leaks and answers with calm. Somatic Morse, random tingles on scalp, spine, palms, brief bursts of chi that peter out unless you breathe into them. Microcurrents trying to reopen meridian lines mapped in mu. If 2 or more of these signatures bloom regularly, congratulations. Your dormant crystal has begun to spin. Science sneaking toward the mystery. Biophoton research, Kirlian Lab. 2022 human cells emit coherent light bursts exactly at 8 Hz during heartfelt gratitude meditation, within 0.17 Hz of Earth's pulse. Water memory experiments. Masaru Emoto lineage. Replicated 2021 droplets exposed to 432 Hz form 6-fold symmetry reminiscent of Lemurian floor mosaics found on Easter Island tablets. Magnetoprotein projects, MIT. 2023 insertion of light-sensitive proteins lets neurons fire via weak magnetic fields, a crude echo of Lemurian crystal-to-cell communication. Mainstream papers frame these as curiosities. Lightworkers read them as breadcrumbs proving that matter is edging back toward its original song. Why the code went dormant. After Lemuria sank, Earth's magnetic field weakened. Fear-based societies blanketed the air with discordant rituals. War drums, factory clang, broadcast rage. To prevent overload, the heart code chose latency. Could not be deleted, only muted. Today, despite EM smog, something unprecedented occurs. Global connectivity spreads resonant pockets faster than fear can quarantine them. A single viral chant, a mass meditation live-streamed, can spike Schumann harmonics worldwide in minutes. The lattice senses tipping point. Your nervous system as antenna. Vagus nerve bundles wrap the heart like silver vines. They vibrate, not just conduct. Each beat broadcasts piezoelectrical ripples detectable up to 3 meters away, what mystics call aura. When the Lemurian code awakens, those ripples sharpen into coherent wavefronts. Coherence begets coherence. Nearby hearts entrain, cortisol drops, oxytocin rises. Tiny, local miracles accumulate. Crowd anger diffuses. Pets calm. A broken elevator starts after you hum absent-mindedly. Skeptics shrug. The grid says, node linked. You pause reading these words. Maybe your fingertips buzz against the screen. Maybe your spine warms. That is not imagination. It is recognition, the crystal seed inside you answering its name. A final whisper unfurls inside your mind. Equal parts invitation and instruction. Starlight sleeps in carbon. Wake it gently, and it will teach you how to sing continents back into memory. The method is simple, invisible, humbler than any grand ceremony. It takes 20 seconds, 3 microgestures, and the willingness to listen beneath modern noise. You will learn it next. Prepare to breathe, to listen, to remember. Night drapes your room in indigo, broken only by the faint LED glow of modern appliances. All day you have felt the code beneath your thoughts. Little tremors in the chest, flashes of déjà vu in street noise rhythms. Now the lattice invites a first handshake, a practice so small it can slip between heartbeats yet powerful enough to nudge the grid. Purpose. Reopen the Lemurian heart channel in 20 silent seconds. Anywhere, anytime. Why so brief? Because the code hides in ordinary moments. Meet it where deadlines and doorbells live, and it will follow you everywhere. Step by step, one graceful arc, no pause in narration, tiny sound. Wherever you are, notice the faintest audible detail. A ticking baseboard, distant traffic hush, your own breath in the nostrils. Let that whisper come forward. Inward phrase, I hear beneath the noise. Single sensation. Shift awareness to one pinpoint in the body. A pulse in the wrist, the weight of a ring, fabric on collarbone. Hold it like a fire spark in cupped hands. Inward phrase, I feel beneath the skin. Code word. Recall the Lemurian glyph you saw, 3 circles, 1 vertical line. Let the silent word behind that glyph surface. Remember, allow it to hover for the length of 1 heartbeat, no chant, no effort. Release. Exhale softly through the nose. Drop the microfocus and re-enter your task. Total elapsed time, roughly 20 seconds. How it works. Microsound aligns the auditory gate. Point sensation steadies the somatic gate. Code word opens the cognitive emotional gate. 3 gates form a quick triangular lock. When they click, your vagus nerve slides into coherence. Heart rate variability lifts. Biophotons spike. The grid senses a clear node and sends a faint return pulse. Too subtle for ears, yet strong enough that water inside your cells realigns to 432 Hz symmetry for several minutes. That is long enough to influence everyone within 3 meters. Gently, invisibly. Do this once a day at minimum. Stirring coffee, scanning a boarding pass, waiting for a page to load. The ritual remains unseen, so ego cannot parade it. Brief, so mind cannot overanalyze it. Potent, because the lattice recognizes sincerity, not spectacle. Optional booster, only when privacy allows. After the exhale, hum a single soft note on the out-breath of the next cycle, whatever pitch your chest chooses. Imagine the note traveling down through sols into the planet's quartz core. 1 heartbeat later, sense a lighter echo returning through arches of the feet. Smile tiny, genuine. And that is all. 20 seconds. 3 anchors. 1 forgotten song humming awake. When you stand tomorrow in a grocery line and people ahead of you suddenly relax. When a child behind you stops fussing without reason. Note the time. Chances are you performed the tuning within the last 5 minutes. Ripples never lie. Next comes integration. How this everyday resonance, multiplied across thousands who carry the code, begins to retune the collective field. The song returns through you. Morning unwraps the city in pale rose. You walk through ordinary streets. Recycling trucks hiss, earbuds leak pop beats, cafes steam milk. But every mundane vibration now rides atop a subtler note. You feel it thrumming under sidewalks, flexing through traffic light copper, glinting off windows. It is the lattice, responding to last night's 20-second pledge. You pause at a crosswalk and close your eyes just long enough to trace the triangle, sound, sensation, word. The ritual ends before the signal changes, yet something happens. A flock of pigeons lifts simultaneously from 3 rooftops, tracing concentric spirals that mirror the old glyph. A stranger beside you exhales, shoulders dropping as if a weight dissolved. Ripple logged. Small effects, but the grid compounds them. Across town, another lightworker repeats the microtuning while rebooting a server. Packets flow 6% faster for reasons the network monitor can't explain. On a different continent, someone hums into a subway scarf, and 2 quarreling commuters fall silent mid-sentence, confusion yielding to embarrassed laughter. The code, once dormant, is stitching a patchwork of coherence that algorithms cannot quantify. A loom of living hearts. Planetary frequency is a loom. Every heart rate is a shuttle. When enough shuttles weave the same color thread, even for 20 seconds, the fabric shifts hue. Schumann monitors have already noticed. Microspikes at odd hours correlating not with solar winds, but with clustered meditation apps, choir rehearsals, children chanting playground rhymes. Scientists label them anomalous resonance bursts. The lattice knows them as return strokes. With each stroke, dormant memory in stone and water stirs. Sensors on the Pacific floor record faint, rhythmic tremors, too regular for tectonics, too gentle for machinery. They trace a 5-ring pattern half buried under silt, humming just above 8 Hz. Oceanographers shrug. Lightworkers inhale sharply. Lemuria's heartbeat is echoing through the mantle, following the invitation of millions of tiny human heart tones. The shift nobody headlines. Do not expect breaking news. Empathy wave lowers, crime 3%. Changes seep sideways. A city planning team inexplicably chooses parkland over parking lots. Investors fund a water cleansing startup after dreaming of glowing coral. A child in ICU stabilizes when volunteers sing lullabies in 432 Hz. The lattice is too elegant for spotlights. It prefers grassroots, gossip, grace. You will notice cascades, though. Vision bleed-throughs, brief flashes of opalescent temples when you sip morning tea. Time warps, clocks seeming to skip or stall during collective stillness. Earth adjusting rotational microwobbles to coherent human pulses. Magnetic kindness, strangers helping before you ask. As if your silent word, remember, propagated 3 meters ahead and rearranged probability. Guardians, not saviors. A caution rises. Lemuria cracked when harmony became hierarchy. Lightworkers must remain guardians, not gurus. The daily tuning is humble precisely for this reason. The moment you brand it, sell it, or legislate it, the chord distorts. Instead, embody it. Listen deeper, feel truer, remember quieter. Influence radiates, not dictates. The long echo. Years from now, perhaps in your lifetime, oceanic drones will map an acoustic lens beneath the Pacific, a kilometer-wide quartz dome humming in perfect fifths. Journalists will dub it the singing vault. Some will claim its natural resonance. Others will whisper Lemurian reactor. Neither will grasp the real revelation. It activated because enough human hearts finally matched its pitch. In that unveiling you may stand on a windswept cliff, hearing gulls syncopate with submarine chords, and realize the cycle is complete. Mu dreamed the lattice. Lemuria loved it into form. Dissonance shattered the song. Lightworkers carried the seed. You and thousands like you have begun the retone. Closing invitation. Tonight, when streetlights buzz and devices ping, slip between sounds. Find the faintest whisper, the smallest sensation, the one word. Exhale. Let the lattice answer. Because continents may sink, temples may crumble, but memory encoded in frequency is immortal. Every heart that remembers adds a missing overtone to Earth's unfinished chord. When the harmony completes, we won't resurrect an ancient land. We will inhabit a planet that finally sings its full song again. Mu was the seed. Lemuria was the bloom. You are the echo turning back into light. Breathe, remember, and let the grid resound.